This is Kipu Newswire. I'm Bill Young. Today, the failing marijuana experiment. Is Colorado helping to create a generation more prone to both addiction and greater dysfunction? Stricter enforcement may be on the way. Page 1, Colorado's Rocky Mountain High. Here's how it's failing. As one of the first states to legalize marijuana in 2012, Colorado serves as ground zero for evidence on how our country's grand experiment with legalized marijuana is working out. Unfortunately, recently reported results seem to be bearing out many of the concerns mentioned in previous articles on the subject. Page 2, Marijuana Confidential, the Dark Side. Legal pot has unleashed unintended consequences on local communities. Fact: the number of marijuana-impaired drivers involved in fatal crashes more than doubled from 10% to 20% since 2013. Fact: poison control calls for children more than tripled since legalization of marijuana. Fact: Colorado has experienced 14% higher auto collision claims than its neighboring states since 2013. Fact: 72% of marijuana consumers believe it's safer to drive under the influence of marijuana than under the influence of alcohol. More than 50% admit to driving within 2 hours of consuming marijuana. Fact: tax revenue from marijuana sales in 2016 was just slightly more than $13 million. The additional cost to law enforcement, healthcare, and addiction treatment is unknown. At least $1 million was spent on public education with an emphasis on the dangers of impaired driving. Fact: past month use of marijuana among 12 to 17-year-olds increased from 9.8% to 12.5%. Fact: marijuana-related emergency room visits by teens has more than quadrupled. Fact: numerous federal seizures of marijuana in Colorado were destined for states in which marijuana is not legal. Page 3, the Marijuana DUI Problem. We're also hearing similar things from the people with boots on the ground. We've definitely seen an increase in the number of DUI cases in which marijuana is involved, said Denver Deputy District Attorney Rich Orman, and that's been just since the legalization of recreational marijuana. Then there's the average person on the street who believes things such as, quote, "I'm generally a pretty impatient guy, but when I'm stoned, I'm more tolerant," end quote, as reported by the Denver Post. In response to which, the Colorado Department of Transportation Safety and Communications spokesman Sam Cole replied, quote, "It's a myth that driving high is somehow safer than drunk driving. Reaction times, motor skills, and general perception of speed, time, and distance are all impaired by marijuana," unquote. The average marijuana user's perceptions don't seem to match up with reality. Page 4. The crusade continues. Sadly, all of this evidence flies in the face of justifications made by marijuana advocates for approving legislation. We were promised that 1, tax revenues would help shore up state budgets, but marijuana tax revenue represents a paltry 1.18% of Colorado's state budget. 2, legalization would take a bite out of the thriving black market, but that continues unabated, with some cartels now trading heroin for marijuana to launder their money. And 3, alcohol sales would decrease, but that has not turned out to be the case either. Moreover, we were assured that strict processes would be put in place to limit access to minors. Another broken promise. This is a scary harbinger of things to come on a national scale, given the mass legalization that has occurred in Colorado's wake. Page 5, a movement back to responsibility. All is not lost, however. Perhaps there's still a chance to regain control of the situation. After all, growth, distribution, and possession of marijuana is still illegal under federal law. On August 29, 2013, the federal government offered up enforcement guidelines trying to square the contradictions between state and federal law in something referred to as the Cole Memo. They include 1. Preventing distribution of marijuana to minors. 2. Preventing marijuana revenue from funding criminal enterprises, gangs, or cartels. 3. Preventing marijuana from moving out of states where it is legal. 4. Preventing the use of state legal marijuana sales as a cover for illegal activity. 5. Preventing violence and use of firearms in growing or distributing marijuana. 6. Preventing drugged driving. 7. Preventing growing marijuana on public lands. and 8, preventing marijuana possession or use on federal property. Jeff Sessions may start all over. Unfortunately, Colorado's experience contravenes every single one of the 8 priorities established in the Cole Memo. That's probably why Attorney General Jeff Sessions seems prepared to rip it up and start from scratch, with stricter enforcement. However, strict enforcement is clearly no panacea either. Page 6, the back page. So what's the answer? It's becoming increasingly apparent that we all need to become more actively involved. We're in the midst of creating a generation more prone to both addiction and greater dysfunction. By lending our experience and expertise to the issue and lobbying for what's right, we can hopefully stop this madness in its tracks and help reverse its course before it becomes too late to turn back. There's more on our website, kipuemr.com, or on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. For Kipu Newswire, I'm Bill Young. Thanks for listening.